Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto Conversation. And I don't know how many people actually saw this yesterday. So Mark Zuckerberg was testifying in front of Senate yesterday. This was very interesting. I was watching this around 2 o'clock, I guess, in the night, and of course, this was related to the recent news that came out that to influence the Donald Trump election, there were about 500 millions of profiles from Facebook which were screened and which were influenced. So this was interesting in a sense that he was questioned. He was being questioned on the overall business model of Facebook, who are the competitors of Facebook, and what have they done in the past. Are they a publishing company or are they technology companies? These are the literally kind of questions he was being asked in front of Senate, and I'm sure he had a hard time yesterday answering this. Now, again, I don't really want to blame them, and I actually feel pity for him, because in today's scenario, that's how the whole thing is designed. The whole thing is centralized today, so you cannot really blame a business model. And these things are bound to happen if you have a centralization. So only solution that we have, the only solution that we have to overcome this problem is decentralization, which is using the blockchain technology, right? So definitely I felt bad for Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it's not his fault that the data has been misused or used. I mean, but at the end of the day, he's a great businessman. He's a great person who came up with this idea and has managed to connect the whole world onto a platform. So it's not his fault, in my opinion, but definitely want to hear from you. What's your take on Mark Zuckerberg? Let me know in the comment box below. Definitely want to hear what do you think about the entire hearing yesterday, and what's your take on Mark Zuckerberg personally, and Facebook as a company as well. So this is something I want to share. Of course, I found this funny Jiffy, or what do you call Jiffy? Yeah, when he's drinking this water even though he's sitting on a cushion. Also, I want to say that yesterday this was cancelled, right? So this I had a interview yesterday with Vishal Gupta, but it got cancelled yesterday. So I'm hoping to do that today at around between 2 to 3. So if you are there, please do join us. I know it was very unfortunate it was cancelled because of some technical reasons from my end. So, but I'm hoping, I'm looking forward to do that. Now, in this interview, again, what I found interesting is this character right here, or maybe person, whatever you should call. So let me just play this video here for a minute.
मानते हैं इसमें लेन देन करने पर कार्रवाई करेंगे, क्योंकि सरकार ने ये बात साफ तौर पे कही नहीं। आरबीआई ने भी एक हिचक दिखाई, इसी वजह से बहुत सारे लोग वैध मानते हैं। गैर इनका कोई सबूत पाया जाता है तो उनके विरुद्ध तमाम मामले खुल जा रहे हैं। ये सारी चीज़ें हो रही हैं, लेकिन सरकार खुलकर ये बोल नहीं रही है कि हम क्रिप्टो करेंसी को अवैध मानते हैं, गैर कानूनी मानते हैं।
So he said that cryptocurrencies are गैर कानूनी, which is basically illegal. I mean, there is no way that it has been declared illegal. So it's interesting to see what this guy is always tells me. Definitely not something that cryptocurrency people actually like what he has to say on cryptocurrency. But anyway, we have Vishal Gupta coming up on the show at 2 o'clock. So I hope to see you join. Yesterday we were discussing about this tweet that India should be global leader in crypto, and here is an interview I did with the Business Standard on India and cryptocurrencies and why governments will be left behind. So I did not talk about the interview yesterday, but if you open up the interview, the whole interview here, this is a very interesting, and the person who is actually talking about is called Anthony Pompliano, and he is a general partner at Morgan Creek Capital in Silicon Valley. And of course, he said that I would love to have a meeting with the Prime Minister, with the RBI government, even the President, if someone set up a meeting to explain to them. And so he was into an interview with Mayank Jain on an email. He said that what made you tweet about coming to India and explaining the benefits of cryptocurrency. So he has completely given his thoughts as to why he thinks that cryptocurrency is very powerful for India. It seems like he has been to India recently and he has seen the enthusiasm into the community here, right? So definitely something that we are all hoping towards, that these regulators in India will understand the power of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, especially when there are people from outside actually telling that how potential, how potential it could be of for India as a country, right? And this was a similar interview that happened recently with Mr. Ajit Khurana here.
And go in two directions. Unless the regulator were to do something drastic, I see that this can only increase. There are certain intrinsic qualities about cryptocurrency which make them very appealing to a certain category of user.
So he is Ajit Khurana. He is now the CEO of Zeppay. But this was recorded on April 3rd, 2018, right? And in this discussion, he's talking about some of the banks who had actually blocked people from transacting into cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. For example, banks like I think HDFC Bank and some of the other banks which were actually stopping people from buying into cryptocurrency. So this is basically an interview on that as to how this could adversely affect, but of course I had him on the channel a couple of months back. I had an opportunity to talk to him on this channel, so I'm not sure if you are newly subscribed, you might not know about this. So I highly recommend you to go ahead and watch. This was a wonderful conversation that I had with him, and so much of things that I learned about how the regulators are looking at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And of course, he is a venture capitalist. He has been investing into a lot of startups who have a great experience as a businessman, as a human being, and also into Bitcoin space. So definitely recommend, if you haven't watched this is like an hour's interview,
So
but this is a fantastic interview that I had. Just in case if you want to watch that. This was recorded about 4 months back, right? So yeah, this is what I wanted to share. Wanted to keep this video short. I'm looking forward for the interview at 2 o'clock. I hope to see you there, but definitely recommend to you to read this interview between right. So here is what something I found interesting between the guy who actually this guy who's Anthony and Mayank, right? So in this video he has mentioned that there are many countries that are accepting cryptocurrencies and launching their own, and he also talks about that how the money laundering. So there was a question as to major fears about Bitcoin are about anonymity, possible money laundering, and volatility in the price for those who invest, and how do you counter this claim. So he said that Bitcoin is run on a distributed public ledger and every transaction is recorded for everyone else to see. So you would have to be the dumbest criminal in the world to use a fully transparent ledger to conduct nefarious activities. Plus the US dollar is still the currency of the choice for the drug dealers, money laundering, and bad actors around the world. So Bitcoin is no way something that criminals would ever want to use for bad activities, and despite all that, these are the new technologies which all the countries are adopting, and if India doesn't do that, it's such a huge loss for India. So of course everyone is hoping that RBI will change their decision. And in an interesting article, I'm sorry I forgot to share with you here, in an interesting article it says no, India has not banned cryptocurrencies, and it says that RBI is banking regulatory body and controls the monetary policy of India, but it is not a legislative body. So it cannot set directive regulations for the bodies that come under its defined authority, but it cannot control or penalize other business or individuals. So it looks like whatever directive has been given by RBI, that's not something that is applicable, because they are not a part of legislation, right? So a law to ban the use or trade of cryptocurrency in India has to come from either the elected governments, whether central or state, so maybe it's a prime minister who has to say that okay, you cannot use it, or with the judiciary system, which is from Supreme Court of India, and it is not applicable if it is coming from RBI. But again, I'm not sure banks might just stop. I mean, nobody is actually looking deep into it, right? I think the one option will be maybe Supreme Court can look into it and decide, okay, this is not something we want to go ahead, because we are thinking in the benefit of India, looking at what other countries are doing. we want to stay ahead in the game. And it's the same thing which has been told here in the interview.
If, however, the government takes a very adverse view of this, I don't know whether we would be totally stifling innovation in that case. So here's the question as far as regulations are concerned. At the simplest level, I as a citizen who have earned some money and I'm holding it in my bank account, after having understood the risk, I want to buy Bitcoin. Really, should anybody be able to tell me that I can't do that? As in, is it dangerous for my neighbors if I have it? So I think that at the level of purchasing or possessing, I don't see India as one of those 3-4 very, very underdeveloped countries in the world which are banning Bitcoin. I see India in the league of countries like USA, UK, Singapore, Italy, Switzerland, etc., where at least this bit I don't see a government taking any adverse action on. There could be certain issues in the interest of consumer security, where exchanges and interfaces and wallets and people in the industry of Bitcoin have to follow certain regulations, which we as a company as well as an industry totally welcome.
So yeah, this is an interesting interview. So there is all the questions which has been answered, and the only reason I want to share, and I recommend you to watch this, because there is no question that regulator cannot find it, and this happened before even the RBI ban came into picture, right? And so what I think is now what RBI should be doing is maybe RBI should be taking their decisions back with some kind of new regulations for the exchanges and for the individual as a buyer and investor. So that's all in my opinion, but let me hear it from you. What do you think about the whole scenario? What do you think the RBI will reopen with some kind of regulations on the exchanges? Let me know your opinion in the comment box below, and I will see you next time on an interview. Take care.